This is a good example of an image where I shot this in my film days. I was shooting 4x5, and I shot, I don't know, maybe 20 sheets of film. And what I was trying to get on film was a wave to break right here in the middle of the image. I wanted it to break in the middle so it could play off of the real powerful feeling of symmetry that you get as this pushes out to the middle and these two clouds push into the same place. So it was about symmetry and balance, but it was just as much about a contrast right here that could break up this feeling of the horizon going straight across the image. And I call this a switch in the middle ground that can switch the viewer from the foreground to the background and get them past this very visually powerful and visibly powerful idea of a hard horizon in a shot. This is an example of an image where just a little bit of something that breaks the horizon can keep us from being overwhelmed by both the line itself as a visual design element, and also this is another image where most of the bright is over here and there's a quality of line in the mountains that starts to move in this direction. But for me, in this image, having this high contrast subject that breaks the line really helps to hold the viewer in the image. And something else that's working well here too is a real strong sense of rhythm on a diagonal that can move back and forth, that can break up this feeling of moving in this direction. See, another thing that worked against this image is that the harmony or the rhythm that was happening is so straight up and down in this image. So the idea of a feeling of sloping in this direction becomes even more accentuated by the straight up and down balance here. So it's just something else to think about that may be more subtle, that you're not thinking about so much if you're shooting these kinds of beat shots. Here's an image where I end up with the whole horizon showing and nothing is breaking it. And this leads to another question that somebody asked about, which is how I deal with barrel distortion shooting super wide, 16, 14, 17 millimeters on these kinds of shots. And it's very relative to the design of the image. I just did or reposted an old video where I really go into everything that went into creating this image. And you have, or I have quite a bit of barrel distortion here, but I didn't correct it because I feel like the barrel distortion is actually rhyming the shape here and the shape here and the shape here, and it actually helps to keep you moving around in the image instead of pulling you out. This barrel distortion actually sort of hooks up with implication of semicircles and keeps you moving in the image instead of pulling out, where if we had barrel distortion that sort of went up here and went against the dominant feeling of a circular movement, that might become overwhelming. But this is another example of an image where this quality of line and this breaking wave right here create an implied visual pathway that's very dynamic, that moves on a diagonal, that can help to get us past the horizon, creating this two-dimensional stop in the image. And this is really, really important. I can't overemphasize this enough for images where you're just going to have an unbroken view to the horizon. This is another image where you're seeing the horizon, but because of my angle and because of how high the surf was, it has the feeling of being broken up. And again, look at what's happening. Coming back to this idea of right around the hard break, you've got a bunch of diagonals that help to move. You also have quite a bit of texture, and this is another one where you have a rhythm. With this sort of textured edge at the top of the cloud and the textured edge down here in the water, those two things can move the viewer back and forth in a powerful way past this real hard break in the image. And then more of an obvious approach is to really physically break the horizon. This is another shot from Jekyll where I've gotten low enough where some snags on the beach are now I'm shooting through them, and they really break the line of the horizon. And then this one is the most obvious one that I'm going to show, where I'm actually just shooting through a pattern of trees that totally breaks up the line. And in both of these you can see barrel distortion in the shot where the horizon is sloping away, and that may be a problem, but all of that energy that's overlaid on the horizon is helping to break it up. So hopefully if you shoot something like beachscapes, or maybe you're a prairie shooter or desert shooter where you're going to have a real hard horizon to deal with. This gives you some ideas about ways to get away from this feeling that either the horizon is stopping the eye too much or the viewer may be drawn out of the scene. I want to say a big thank you to all of you for all of your support in 2008. We're really looking forward to 2009. I want to say a huge thank you to all of you for your support of our workshop program. I'm showing you an image today from a place where we have a workshop in 2009, and it's full thanks to you. Big thank you to all of your support. Hope to see you again soon on the Mindful Eye, everybody.